How do you feel about the buy gold and end the Fed crowd? I think of Ron Paul when I hear that.
He's a whack job.
Not on everything, just on that. I love him on foreign policy.
He's the only one who tells, when he speaks, you know he's telling the truth.
No pandering. You got to love him just for that. But I agree on this, he's crazy.
Gold, and that's what I'm talking about here. Last time he ran, I said the same thing. It's just a nutty idea, and it's not going to happen.
It's throwing our lot into the whims of the mining industry, right?
And everything else. So that isn't the problem. His suggestion to go back to that is not the solution. He's just on that one topic. He's lost it.
I know so many people who are big Ron Paul fans, especially younger people, and I understand why they love him on the issues that I love him on. Why is a guy who, in my view, is so out ahead on these issues, what is in his brain that he can't get past the gold thing?
I have to tell, I'm not sure, and I didn't know what it was even 4 years ago. He was really on to this as well. I don't know why.
And he was dead wrong when he said 4 years ago in the collapse that we'd have hyperinflation. So Ron Paul lovers, I just know that.
But he does say what he means, and I wish he actually was more popular than he was.
I do too.
But he just needs a little tweaking, and he'd probably be the best for them.
I think it's going to take a little more than a little tweaking, though. I mean, he has no. It is great that he says exactly what he means, and that is incredibly refreshing. It's just that. It's just a little crazy sometimes. Like the gold thing.
The gold thing, also health care. Not good on that. No. But,
those are little issues.
Well,
Ron Paul without the crazy is Ralph Nader, right? I mean, and Ralph Nader, that dog don't hunt. I mean, he's
not in the Republican Party, right? Or the Democratic Party, right? You're right. Okay. Did President Obama inappropriately politicize the National Prayer Breakfast by suggesting Jesus would support taxing the rich? He said, "For unto whom much is given, much shall be required," and went on to say, "And I believe in God's command to love thy neighbor as thyself." Boy, as always, controversial.
That seems more plausible than Jesus would have an account in the Caymans,
The things that they can, one of the Republican congressmen walked out on the prayer breakfast. This is just, it's like somebody yelled, "You lied," then they stuck a finger in his face. Now I'll walk out on the prayer breakfast. They're just upping the ante on how they can disrespect the black president, in my view.
President?
Because they never did any of that to any other president.
And I saw the prayer breakfast, and President Obama did not say Jesus says tax the rich. That never came out of his mouth. What President Obama was talking about was, he was talking about in the book of Proverbs, is how basically we're going to be known about how we treat the least of us. And he's absolutely right. The thing that makes this country so great is the fact that we as a country, it's the idea of what America is. America is the purest meritocracy that the world has. And all we're simply saying is that if we have massive disparities between Americans, we're not living up to our best ideals. We're not the country that I know we can be. So that's simply the point that I was trying to make. This is not about class warfare or anything along those lines. What class warfare is the fact that we have so many people, is the fact that we have 46 million people living in poverty, and the fact that the top 1% now controls 25% of all the income in this country. That's class warfare.
You have silver-tongued it again, my speech-making friend. And also, I, of course, am not a believer in gods, but, I did read Jesus' book. And I love his philosophy. And, if there's one thing that he seems to have a real bug up his ass about, it's be nice to poor people. And I do not like rich people. He doesn't like rich people, and he loves poor people. He said...
He didn't write the book.
He didn't write the book, right. Correct. Right. That's correct.
His hippie buddies wrote it.
It was the hippie buddies.
Neither did anybody who ever lived with him know him. And I think people think that the Gospels are written by his disciples. That's not who Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are.
Look at you.
Well, lots of religious people argue with that. They insist that Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John were his disciples. They were not. they lived 40 to 70 years after he died.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, this is what his PR people
Splitting hairs again.
put out. And what they put out was it's a constant theme. It's a constant drumbeat. Be nice to poor people. Rich people cannot get into heaven. It's like going through the eye of the needle, that whole thing. So, you know, how this party is able to align their hyper-Christian activity and
Okay. So
he's going to do it. He's going to. You're going to.
No, here's the thing. And this goes back to your earlier point. Like, why is it that these people making $50,000 like Republicans? Okay, because they don't think that what the Democrats do, not they don't mean well, but what they do doesn't work. That the whole income transfer thing doesn't make up for the fact that I need to get a good job, and to get a good job, I need a good education. And yes, there has to be a meritocracy, but there's got to be a system. I basically know that if the employers are getting crushed, that's not helping me out. That's not a good end game for me.
I think you're right on the money. They do not think, I think it's exactly what they think. The Democrats have good intentions, but they think it doesn't work. And the reason, of course, it doesn't work is because it's blocked by Republicans. I mean, that is a lot of reason why it doesn't work. It's true. I mean, honestly. Isn't a lot of the
my best shot.
But isn't a lot of the reason why Obama has not been able to move the economy more forward?
Oh,
is because it was blocked?
He had 2 years of Democrats in both in the Senate and the House. He got everything he wanted.
But two rules under different rules, which was the filibuster. There wasn't what I always called the silent coup in America. Used to be you only needed a little majority, a direct majority in the Senate. Used to need 51 votes. Now you need 60.
Can I tell you
so you can't get anything done.
Here's what I think really is this problem.
Especially since he's got like 10 or 20 people in his own party who are really Republicans, closet Republicans.
So here's what I think his problem is. I think he's a very smart guy. I just think he's just not a schmoozer. I think he doesn't, like Clinton.
He's not a schmoozer.
Was a charmer. Okay,
right.
So Republicans could hate him, but they could love him at the same time. And he could,
right.
I was watching Obama after the State of the Union walk out, and the difference in the way he treated Republicans and Democrats was so stark, in my mind. And if it was Clinton, and I was there for this, you know, you could step in the back the night before. If he saw you, he'd be like,
right.
Oh, man, what's going on? How about that Super Bowl, you know?
Right.
Why don't you come over?
You're right, exactly.
And, you know, you get things done.
Can't argue with that. All right.
Call it the full Monica, I think.
I didn't mean it that way.
Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you next week. Media sites like Twitter will play any part in how the presidential election turns out this year. Yeah, I think they did in 2008 as well. I mean, that is one thing. I mean, the Republicans are going to have more money, but Obama does have social media.
And I don't think it's just social media in terms of the campaign talking to people. I think what they did so well was have people talk to other people, voters talk to their friends. So I just think in this election, it's just going to skyrocket the use of social media.
I'd agree with that. And when I was chairman of the RNC in 2009, 2010, we adopted some of those strategies to reach out, and we found 1 million new activists, donors, and those who want to participate in the process. And it's going to be incredibly important that the Republican Party, be engaged at that level, because that network is not just fascinating and exciting, but it is informative, and it actually makes a difference in the outcome.
Yeah, Democrats need to be careful, because the Republicans have really adopted.
We've made some changes.
Yeah.
But you have to, I mean, be honest. If the younger segment of the population voted in the percentage that the old did, the Republicans would never win.
Well, and that's why I said that they've got to be engaged in this, and you've got to have a message to take to a young 17, 18, 19-year-old. The reality of it is they've got to have a feeling that this is a party I want to belong to, and I don't think they have that right now.
Well, fortunately, they don't.
Yeah. But it's, and I say that legitimately. We have not created that bridge to bring them into the conversation.
The primary season has not been good.
No, it's not.
No, I mean, if you're selling a message of more war, less fucking, and no college, no, it's probably
not go for the youth.
That's a pretty good summation. Pretty good summation.
Terrible to put on a poster.
And you can't put that on a bumper sticker.
No, you can't. You absolutely.
It's a problem.
No, you can't.
It's a problem.
Not without getting the kind of shit I get. Okay. How has blowback from the Citizens United ruling damaged the GOP? Well, I don't think people even know what it is, and I don't think they care. And
by and large, I don't think that has a real resonance.
And that's why Obama. Some people say, well, Obama shouldn't take PAC money. please?
Really?
Why doesn't he just give up then, you know?
I said one thing that is different, though, is, you're watching the Republicans kill each other out there. But the only two people who really can stop it are Foster Friess, really, and Sheldon Adelson, right? Because in the end, the candidates, as long as they can have the money to put their ad on television, fight with each other. So we've given them these two guys, the bankers, the
one thing I can say that
Party.
when we designed this particular primary season, that was not a factor, the money piece. It was really to give guys and gals a chance to get out there and put their argument. Now you throw the money in there. You do have this very combustible opportunity to go out there and stay in the race, even though you don't necessarily have the votes or you have the organization in place.
Is it permissible to kill U.S. civilians overseas without any trial? Would it be okay to use drone attacks against terrorists, gangs, criminal civilians here at home without any trial? What's the difference? That's a good question. And
we are seeing, it's very alarming. I was doing a program on this recently, that we are seeing more drones go into the police departments, local police departments, and you are seeing, especially with the pullout of Iraq and the drawdown in Afghanistan, the defense companies are marketing their products directly to police departments, and not for Homeland Security, but simply to enforce. And this is expanding very rapidly. The American people have no idea how much this is already in use.
I think the president has taken the use of drones to a whole nother level in terms of using them militarily. And now that we have drawn down our presence overseas, there is going to be a domestic component, a domestic use.
The defense industry, though, basically populating armaments in our local police department.
And it starts with the camera on the street light, you know.
Well, but they also might get the Coney guy with the drone.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
Yeah, I don't think it's drones, but I do think there's a question of, how they're going to be used domestically.
Right, absolutely.
And whether or not we're going to see just a whole level of surveillance and other things that I don't think...
And the civil liberties question...
Talking about watching people
but that is
do things they're not supposed to be doing.
But that is the hope. I mean, to pick up what we're talking about in the show, that is sort of the hope, is that, people who are doing horrible things in the world... People like the Facebook crowd will get on them, and then how do you get them? Because
but that
that's
works
the world
well
we're
when it's
living
over
in.
there. Now, the rest of the question is what happens when it's over here?
Yeah, are we going to have, instead of a military-industrial complex, are we going to have a police
national security, civil liberties questions become a real issue.
Very, very scary.
Barack Obama is not my favorite president on civil liberties. He's much too twinny with George Bush, in my opinion. Does it seem that the majority on the right, candidates, pundits, have a very angry demeanor, with the exception of Michael Steele and Mitt Romney, who as a result get less recognition from their party?
Well, what was the line that Rush just delivered? And that was he wants a candidate that can convey the fear and anger. I mean, what happened to Reagan's morning in America? But he wanted a candidate to convey fear and anger.
Reagan conservatism today will not work. Ronald Reagan could not make it through a Republican primary today.
Not with his policies.
Defeated.
That's right.
His positions as governor, his actions as president would make him incompatible with what has been defined as conservatism in the moment. And this goes to what we were talking about before about those moderate, and I would say even conservative voices that are in the party. They do need to make more of a presence and make more of a noise. And certainly if they begin to do that, they can take back some of this energy and put it in the right direction. Again, going to that 17, 18-year-old that we're going to need, Hispanic voters, women, African Americans, who are going to dominate the political landscape going forward. If we're not playing, if we're not engaging, we become the party of the Whigs, and we know what happened to them.
Yeah, but I mean, I think the problem is you look at, Orrin Hatch or Dick Lugar, who are not anything but conservative, and now they're getting attacked. I mean, this party has become so extreme that even sort of decent guys like them have no place.
There's a hard edginess that I think has taken us out of the game much more than we need to be. I think the whole red state, blue state model that Karl Rove created in 2000 has run its course. It needs to be jettisoned, just like we jettisoned the Southern strategy. That is not the party I joined when I was a young man. It's not the party I want to be a part of in the future.
What we got to jettison is the Electoral College.
Yeah.
And let people just vote. Popular vote wins.
Yeah,
most popular guy gets it. Because the way it is now, this is why I say Romney could win. I mean, no matter who the Republican is, he starts with at least 180 electoral votes. I mean, there are states in this, I mean, like I said, I'm not worried. The Republicans should not be worried about the South for Mitt Romney.
No.
Yeah.
No, they will be.
You saw that video?
They will be there. And the problem is you now have states like Ohio and Florida that, you know, could be problematic for the president. So you're right. I mean, Romney, again, that reset in September creates a whole new opportunity for him, and everybody knows it, and how they defense against it is going to be interesting to watch.
Okay. How about a hand for this fabulous panel? I wanted to get to this issue during the show, and we didn't, but luckily, probably more people actually see us on the internet. So let's talk about what you're involved with. You're doing a play out here, a reading.
Yes, we're doing a reading of a play called 8, and it's based on the court transcripts from the federal court challenge that we launched against Proposition 8 here Prop 8 here in California.
Which was the anti-gay marriage?
Right. It was against gay marriage. We formed the American Foundation for Equal Rights. We hired David Boyce and Ted Olson, the two guys that opposed each other on Bush v. Gore.
Right.
And we tried the case in the district court in San Francisco. We won. And it's now, yes. It's now on appeal in the Ninth Circuit, and Dustin Lance Black, who wrote Milk, won an Academy Award, took the trial transcripts and made a play out of it. We did a reading of it in New York on Broadway with Morgan Freeman and a lot of great actors. It went over so well that we're going to do it here.
And George Clooney's doing it.
Yes, George Clooney here in Los Angeles.
Is he gay?
Is George Clooney gay? You have to ask him. Look at, he's got Stacy Keibler. How gay could he be? George Clooney is going to play David Boyce. And I'm going to direct, and I play also a part in it as well.
All right. And what did you think about Rick Santorum? Because he's obviously the most anti-gay candidate. He would say, I would guess, pro-Bible or whatever. He would not say anti-gay. But I feel like this is an issue where America has really moved.
They have. The gay community is the one group in America that is not considered equal under the law. Well,
actually, atheists, I would argue, are in that.
We're not equal?
Well, we certainly don't get any representation. For a group that is about 17% now, I mean, always growing. The people who say none, when you write a religious affiliation, none. 17%, bigger than any other minority. No representation in Congress. Nobody dares.
No,
look at that. There are tens of millions, and they are. I mean,
you're right about that. That we don't have that representation. I include myself in that same 17%. But we can have representation. And gays can have representation as well. But under the law, atheists have the same legal rights as any other.
But they're the last group you can really just shit on publicly, and everybody applauds it. You know, like George Bush.
Not everybody. I mean, this and Rob is right. This is really the civil rights issue of our generation, and I'll tell you, that it warmed my heart. I was driving my kids to practice yesterday, and
practicing what?
Baseball and volleyball, and they asked me, Mom, you know, why are all the Republican candidates so against gay people? And I said, well, you know, that's a really good question, because they think that because they're different, that they shouldn't be treated the same as everyone else. And my 12-year-old son that said, that's really stupid, Mom. You know, and that's how that generates.
You know, I'm the oldest one here at this table, and when Barack Obama ran for president, supported him, and I was, campaign, I did all the things, but in the back of my mind, I said, I was one of those people who said, can a black person
we all did.
be president? And my children said the same thing.
Right.
What are you talking about? Why is that a big deal?
Right.
And you're exactly right. We've moved past that. The young people, the next generation, they don't have a problem with gay marriage. They don't have these problems.
When Rick Santorum said, well, what about if you allow that, then I guess a person could marry 3 people, or a dog.
And this is the contrast.
We have laws against those.
And they booed him because they don't want to marry their dog.
This is the contrast that we have.
Well, not all of them. Not all of them.
But Bill, this is the
a lot of people
contrast.
want to marry their daughter.
This is the contrast we have between the entire Republican field and President Obama.
Wait, I thought President Obama was says he's against gay marriage. His position is exactly the same as that of Mitt Romney, isn't it?
He is what he
He's
says,
to the right of Dick Cheney.
He is evolving. He is evolving on that issue, and I will be surprised if in this next election cycle he doesn't endorse gay marriage.
Do you believe that he was ever sincere in his position?
No, I do not. I don't think he's sincere about a lot of things, but the reason why he's not sincere, I can totally understand. He's the first black president. He can't come out for weed or gay marriage. He has to be super tough on national defense.
Why,
I mean,
why is it
got
such an appalling crime when Mitt Romney sometimes allows people to think he believes things that maybe he doesn't really think, and a completely venial act when President Obama does the same thing?
President Obama.
I'm not the one who says it is. I'm the one who just told you that
let's
Mitt
remember,
Romney's a Democrat.
President Obama is the president that has done more to advance gay rights than any president in American history. The repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, making sure that LGBT Americans have the opportunity for hospital visitation.
Let's not pat him on the back too much. The repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell was polling at 75% approval. Even a majority of conservatives were for repealing Don't Ask, Don't Tell. So the fact that there are Democrats founded in the
not to defend the Defense of Marriage Act.
That's a big one. That's a big one.
Believe me, this is a president who has been bold and clear about the importance of equality for LGBT Americans in this country.
Okay, but he is still to the right of Cheney and Laura Bush on gay marriage.
You have 35 shows this season. You can spend the first half attacking the Republicans, and then we can spend the general election.
No, I'm just trying to keep it real and keep it fair, and I think he will. I think in the second term, when he's got nothing to lose, you're going to see the real Obama come out, including his admission that he's an atheist too. Okay.
I thought he was a Muslim. I keep getting confused.
Right, that's what they were saying. Is there more of a push, Black Knight asks, to get minority and female candidates to run, or just those who are most likely to win? Ooh, that's to you.
We are actively engaged in recruiting any qualified candidate who is interested in running and willing to work hard and supports standing up for the middle class and working families, focusing our tax policy on making sure that everyone in America has an opportunity to be successful, not just the wealthiest, most fortunate Americans, which is the direction.
And I think if you look at the Democratic Party and the representation that we see in Congress, it is a reflection of our American family.
Just look at the chamber during the State of the Union. Look at the side of the chamber that the Democrats sit on and the side of the chamber that the Republicans sit on, and you can notice a dramatic difference in who chooses to affiliate as Democrats and who chooses to affiliate as Republicans. The diversity in the Democratic Party is remarkable. We truly are the big two.
This goes back to something I was saying in the televised portion of the show about the weakness of party structures. I mean, if you were to walk through the halls of the Republican National Committee and say, who here thinks that the party should do a lot to get more female minority candidates, you'd have an overwhelming consensus. But candidates choose themselves. That is the way it works in the United States. And that is... it doesn't have. That's not the way it always was. It's not the way it has to be. It's the way it is now. And that means oftentimes parties are at risk of being captured by vocal minority groups. And Democrats had this problem a lot in the 1970s when the party got swung much farther to the left than its leaders wanted it to be. Republicans have that problem now. Stronger party structures would go a long way, especially on the Republican side. The British conservatives have outright quotas for the number of women on their party lists, and that is, and I'm not going to say that's maybe as far as you want to go quite that far, but it has had a powerful effect on changing.
Does anybody know
party.
Where the United States ranks as percentage of women in government in the world? 90th.
Yeah, very, very low.
90th.
But there is a reason that the Democratic Party is far more diverse than the Republican Party, because the natural home politically on major issues to Hispanics, to women, to Jews, to Asian Americans, the diverse spectrum.
Women are an awfully big group.
To African Americans, the entire spectrum of diversity is comfortable in the Democratic Party because we stand up for the issues that matter to those communities, and Republicans shun them.
Okay, I'm going to get Herman Cain back here to argue. I got to go. Thank you very much. You're a terrific audience.
Thank you.
Okay, we're back here on Overtime. Let's get to a question for you, Mario Batali. Do you still hold fast to your criticisms of the banks? Yes, you got into a little hot water there. Bill Maher style.
Bill Maher style. I discussed at a meeting about who should be on the cover of Time magazine, who has changed the news the most this year.
Right.
In comparing certain characters who have been on the cover of the magazine over the past, there was an unfortunate miscommunication that I thought they were like a brutal dictator who killed thousands and millions of people. In fact, I believe that bankers have done a lot of things, but I think the fault lies just as much in the government that gave them the check and said, here's $700 billion.
Put an end to this. You really don't think bankers, as bad as they are anything like Hitler and stuff?
Absolutely true. I do not.
Right, okay. So, you know, people look for things to get outraged about.
Yes.
There's lots of people in this country who have nothing better to do than sit there and wait to get outraged. Okay, glad we agree.
I'm glad I could help them, and we're working through it.
All right. For you, Congressman, are there any policies you'd agree to compromise on or would give President Obama more than you got in return?
We're looking to make sure that we get through this year, this election year, realizing that President Obama wants to take things in one direction because he believes that that will do best for America. And those of us in the Republican Party want to go in another direction because we believe that's best for America. We're going to have to get through this year, and the American people will decide when they go to the polls what direction they want to go. Right now, they've split power
when you say direction,
between people who disagree.
Okay, but you know, I think, again, it gets exaggerated how far he wants to take it. You were in Congress in the 90s. You came in '89. Clinton came in '93. There was a small tax raise that he put forward that not one Republican voted for. The economy turned around. Turned out that tax raise really did a lot of good things for the economy. Obama really just wants to return to those 90s tax rates for the richest 1%. He doesn't even ask it for everybody else, which I think is a big mistake because at some point everybody is going to have to pay. Mitt Romney, we found out, made $27 million.
Yes.
Only paid 11% in taxes.
Good accountant.
Okay. Okay. But now, in the debate on Monday night,
so you want to get rid of all of these deductions for foundations, for to churches, all these things that you don't like.
Okay, but that's a completely different issue. Let me just get to the question.
That's why you didn't pay that higher taxes.
What do you do with strippers and boobies?
Is it better to give it to the bureaucracy than to a foundation?
Let me just ask the question.
All right.
Let me just ask the question. Okay. In the debate Monday night, Mitt said to Newt Gingrich, you know what, Newt, your tax proposal is that I would pay zero. Because Newt wants nothing on capital gains.
Yes. Right.
And Newt's answer was, sure, that's what I want because you're a job creator. Now, since Mitt left Bain and has been making this 20-something million every year, how many jobs has he created?
I don't know. You just
is he really a job creator? Has he been really using that money to create? He has.
You know what? I'll tell you something. Maybe, just maybe, the Mormon Church has hired some people. Just maybe. Okay. Oh no.
I'm talking about in this life.
No. You think you'd rather have the money that he gave to the Mormon Church go into the federal bureaucracy? No, I think it's okay that he's and what he's doing in the Mormon Church may well be some philanthropic goal that both you and I could agree on.
You know what they spend it on? Against Prop 8, making sure that gay men couldn't get married. That was funded by the Mormons.
I'm outraged.
No, a Prop 8, which was the
actually, the Yes
funded by the Mormons.
But not just the Mormons. Who else came out and voted for Prop 8?
But
no one in the
churches.
community would acknowledge that. And there were two groups of people who were...
We pull no punches on this show.
That's damn right, baby. And by the way, I just want to know, I can't wait until I make enough money that I have a blind trust where someone I don't know and I never talk to invests my millions of dollars in Switzerland, Luxembourg, and the Cayman Islands.
But Bill, you would eliminate this deduction for people to give to foundations that are involved with many
to religion,
things.
yeah.
Well,
if you want to,
Mitt's write-offs aren't just for religion.
Well,
he's given to many foundations,
it's all to the more
charities.
Mostly what they do is build giant
Congressman,
temples.
the other problem that you're not really focusing on is the fact that Mitt Romney left Bain many years ago, but because of the way the taxation system has been structured, there's something called carried interest, and that means, as you well know, that he pays a level of taxation on monies that comes into him. That's not loopholes. That's not giving to charity. That's not serving churches. That's just just into his bank account.
All right.
And that's fundamentally what the problem is here.
Listen,
just one other.
You can say it's
can I just say one other thing?
Bills opposed.
Sorry, can I just say one other thing, and then I'll shut up for the rest of the evening?
No, pardon me.
Just one other thing. The point Bill just made is an important one about the way Mitt Romney deployed his money. We, of course, have and grant everyone the right to give to their personal faith, to their church, and the law allows for that as a charitable gift. How charitable is it, or is it political, when you're taking money that you're gifting to that church and using it for a political purpose opposing Prop 8? That's not charity. That's actually a political spend. That's the problem. It's got nothing to do with charity. I'm sorry.
Okay, but if you're going to say that, which there is a valid point to be made.
No, I'm just raising that point.
But there is a valid point to be made to that, but you also have to acknowledge the good things that churches
Absolutely, and no one's disputing that, but the point Bill was making was this individual was enjoying charitable status for the money that he had that was being deployed by a church that was using it for the purposes of political action. It wasn't feeding the poor. It wasn't looking after the orphans and the widows.
By the way, this does happen.
How do you know that, though?
Because we know he was spending so much.
All right, we're going to have to go soon, but I want one more question from the internet. Who does Mark Foley support for the GOP nomination?
I'm afraid to say. I'd like to be the Wizard of Oz. I'd like Newt Gingrich's brain.
No.
No. Hold on, Martin. No. Just give me a second. Let me go. See, this is NBC.
Put a man on the moon.
He's mentally ill.
He's not mentally ill.
He is.
He's not.
He is.
Okay, doctor, I'm sorry.
You
Doctor,
just heard
Newt Gingrich's brain.
John Huntsman's honesty.
Okay.
What I really want is somebody that puts their country first. And when he said, my country's more important than my politics and my party, that's what I want in a president.
Well,
and I wish I had
It's easy
Mitt
when
Romney.
you're getting 1%
No, let me
of the
tell you
vote,
something.
yeah.
But your state is about to vote, and people are looking at you. That's a non-answer. Who do you endorse?
If I had Mitt Romney to be honest about his voting record, if he would own up to the fact that he won in Massachusetts as a moderate centrist, I believe he could win this country, and I believe if he'd be proud of that record and say, yes, I voted for gay initiatives because I actually had gay constituents. Yes, I voted for things like health care because health care is a disaster in this country. If he'd own up to his record, I would proudly say today, Mitt is my guy. But when you pretend somehow you weren't there and I didn't have anything to do with those initiatives, and I wish you'd all forget about it so I could just get by this primary and win the presidency, we're all kidding each other. Both Democrats and Republicans have spent their life trying to obfuscate their true beliefs because they think if they say what's on their heart and their mind, they won't win an election. I tell you, these people are smarter than that. Americans are smarter than that. And if Mitt Romney would say, I'm for gay people because they're real Americans, I'm for a centrist government that helps people.
Well, he doesn't have to be a centrist, but I do wish he would come out and say, let's drop the gay thing. There's absolutely no reason the United States government should be in people's bedrooms. It doesn't matter what they put in their bodies. Those are their choices, whether it's food or phalli.
Salute.
People want to go home and have sex. Thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate it.